She was my guardian angel.
A Utah mother says her daughter was bullied to the point of a tragic outcome.
So that was the hardest part. She must have really internalized this.
What she claims happened after reporting the bullying to the school.
Right now, I'm tracking our next weather maker set to arrive tomorrow. So coming up, I'll let you know where we'll see rain and where we'll see snow and those travel impacts for your commutes.
Utah students falling behind since the beginning of the pandemic.
We won't be able to overcome those in a month or two. They'll likely last for several years.
But how much learning has been lost? Tonight, the test scores are revealing.
This is a white power grab by white men.
The battle over who represents Utah in Congress is heating up.
Thank you for not making this a partisan effort.
The clash between the state legislature and ideas from a voter-approved commission, plus how it impacts every single Utahn.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
A Utah mother says her 10-year-old daughter took her own life over the weekend after being bullied at school. She says she reported the bullying to the school, but claims nothing was done to protect her daughter.
Fox 13's Emily Tenser is live at Foxborough Elementary in North Salt Lake tonight with the mother's message to other parents and the district's response. Emily.
10-year-old Izzy Trishner was a student here at Foxborough Elementary. Her mom tells me they were getting excited because they were only 1 year away from middle school. Now, Izzy had autism spectrum disorder, and her mom said that made her an easy target for bullying.
Even though she came in my life for a decade, she was my guardian angel and is my guardian angel.
Brittany Tishner remembers her 10-year-old daughter as a beautiful young girl, a light that shined on everyone she met.
She was amazing. Even when people were mean to her, she would still help them.
Izzy Tishner was on the autism spectrum and had dyslexia. Her mother says other children recognized her differences and frequently bullied her.
She really didn't say what she wanted to be. But I knew I know she told me, "Mommy, I want to be more than this." And now I think I understand what she meant. More than this is more than her disability.
Now Tishner is grieving the loss of Izzy, who died by suicide on Saturday.
You really wouldn't have known that she was going through that. So that was the hardest part. She must have really internalized this.
In a statement sent to Fox 13 News, the Davis School District says it's devastated by Izzy's death, saying, quote, "At this point, the incident we are aware of involved another student, and the teacher and administration responded quickly and appropriately. As with all allegations of bullying, our investigation will continue." Tishner says her focus isn't on the investigation. It's about getting the message out to parents to talk to your kids, preach anti-bullying, and check in on them daily to make sure they're doing okay.
I just want to spread Izzy's love to other kids. I want to spread what Izzy had, her infectious love, her infectious laugh, to the other kids. I want to spread the good things about her.
Friends and family are posting the hashtag Stand for Izzy to demand justice. There's a vigil scheduled tomorrow night at the Foxborough Hollow Park at 7 p.m. There's also a GoFundMe set up to help the family with funeral expenses. You can find the link to that at fox13now.com. Reporting live, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
So difficult. Fox 13 News does not typically report on suicides, but we are in this case because of the possible connections to bullying along with mental health.
Today we spoke to experts on autism spectrum disorder at the Melissa Nelson Center for Autism at Utah Valley University. They say about 80% of those on the spectrum will describe having suicidal thoughts. Attempts are up to 8 times more common in those with autism. And it can be difficult to recognize struggles or signs of depression because some expressions of autism can mask mental health issues. That's why, she says, communication is so important.
So I think the important thing is to always check in, to really keep those lines of communication open, and ask about what's going on in school. Ask specifically about whether someone is bullying or being mean in some way.
If you or someone you know is struggling, there is always help. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. It is free and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
A $50,000 reward is now being offered tonight for whoever left behind racist graffiti at the Facebook construction site in Eagle Mountain. The racial slur was found inside a portable restroom at the site late last week. The Utah County Sheriff says the vandalism also calls for violence later this month. 1,300 workers were sent home after the graffiti was found. If you have any information that can help, contact the Utah County Sheriff's Office.
Traffic was snarled in Eagle Mountain this afternoon after a school bus was involved in a multi-vehicle crash. It happened at about 3 on Pony Express Parkway near Wycliffe Way. Even though the bus was full of students, no one was injured. The bus and other vehicles had to be towed, however, and a second bus was brought in to take the students home.
Maybe you can relate. Surely is something many parents and students have experienced firsthand. And now there is concrete data that shows Utah students were negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Fox 13's John Franke reports from the State Board of Education tonight and takes a deep dive into the numbers that show how much learning was actually lost.
Starting with the shutdown in March of 2020, all the pandemic chaos proved to be a major setback to what Utah children took away from their classrooms.
Is that it's clear that the disruption caused by the pandemic affected all of our student groups.
This is the 31-page report on pandemic impacts Darren Nielsen presented to the State Board of Education. Nielsen is the state's assistant superintendent of student learning.
The big difference with the pandemic is just the scale and the scope of the magnitude of it, because it affected our entire community.
Here's one data set that illustrates how students in 1st through 3rd grades were affected. It's the reading benchmark. In 2020, right before in-person learning was shut down, 69% of students reached that benchmark. Exactly 1 year later, that number fell to 62%.
It gives you a pretty clear picture of the effects of the spring 2020 shutdown, at least on early literacy for grades 1 through 3.
And it's not only younger kids feeling the sting. RISE assessment testing shows sharp drops in math performance level changes. For 5th graders, the decline is 45%. For 10th graders, it's down 46%.
The impacts of the pandemic, we won't be able to overcome those in a month or two. They'll likely last for several years.
Nielsen says this study will likely lead to more to find the exact cause. While some of the numbers aren't pretty, they are better than some national projections made when schools shut down nearly 2 years ago.
What you're seeing here in the analysis that we've completed for Utah so far is less significant than what those forecasts predicted.
It's likely the willingness of most districts in the state to offer in-person learning last school year gave students a jump start at getting back on track. Now, as classrooms regain some sense of normalcy, Nielsen believes it's up to everyone who has a hand in education to help make up the ground the pandemic took away.
The phrase that I like to use is provide them academic tailwinds that will allow their pace of learning to increase, allowing them to get back to the place that we would have expected them to be had the pandemic never occurred.
You can find the report summary on our website. The full report is expected to be released next week, and it will be taken to the Utah State Legislature. In Salt Lake City, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, as you are aware, as we are living, we are now back on standard time here in
Standard
City of Utah.
time now, yes.
You know, it always takes me a few days to adjust to the time change of it getting dark so early.
I just wish we could fall back every time we change.
That extra hour was nice.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's my first time every single time, even though it happens twice a year.
Yeah. Yep.
So many times I've been a part of this, and you as well, but it got dark about 5 o'clock today. So yes, not much daylight at the end of the workday. Right now, though, it's about 40 for Provo, Lehigh, Draper, Harriman, mid-40s for Farmington, currently 40 for Ogden, 37 up in the Eden area. And then our temperatures for St. George right now is still close to 60 degrees. So here's what it is across the state right now, and here is our next storm approaching, really impacting California. We are going to tap into a little bit of this atmospheric moisture, this atmospheric river. We'll see that becoming somewhat unorganized by the time that it makes it to Utah. So So dry roads right now, all the way from the Idaho border along I-15, I-84 down through Utah County. We have mostly clear sky. About 40 when you first wake up in Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden tomorrow morning. Mid-30s for Logan and Park City, St. George close to 50 degrees. Our temperatures won't warm up much tomorrow, and we'll start seeing a better chance for some rain once we get to about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll talk more about this storm and the impacts on travel tomorrow coming up.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
The redistricting debate on Utah's Capitol Hill comes to a boiling point.
The map that you guys have come up with is just an abomination.
There's always going to be someone who disagrees.
Why some people are upset and how one lawmaker plans to take action.
Is construction damaging some historic Salt Lake City homes?
How would we know to prepare for a seismic event? A continued seismic event that lasts for a month.
How UDOT is responding to frustrated homeowners tonight.
Wishes are so powerful. They are life-changing for these kiddos and their families.
And the Make-A-Wish Foundation in Ballet West are making one Utah girl's dreams come true. It's a positively Utah story you don't want to miss.
Utah ran wild against Stanford. Coming up, we'll hear from the Utes on what's been the key to the improved rushing attack.
On Utah's Capitol Hill tonight, maps, and more maps. Lawmakers are voting on the boundaries for who represents you in Congress, the legislature, and on the state school board.
And tonight, the question still remains if lawmakers will accept a voter-approved independent group's maps or the ones state lawmakers came up with. Fox 13's Ben Winslow has the story.
Just a short time ago, the legislature's redistricting committee wrapped up its final meeting. They opted not to accept any map proposed by the Independent Redistricting Commission that was created by voters when they passed Proposition 4. Still, public comment overwhelmingly against what the legislature approved.
We'll then turn to the public for comment.
From political leaders to regular folks, lawmakers got an earful about the proposed congressional map by the legislature's redistricting committee.
The map that you guys have come up with is just an abomination.
Let's call it what it is. This is a white power grab by white men because you don't want to give women and people of color a say in this state.
Some complained the maps were barely unveiled, while others say the splits drown out urban voters.
When was the last time we had a federal congressman who was rural?
But not everyone objected.
There's always going to be someone who disagrees. And there's always going to be one group that feels like they're underrepresented.
Thank you for not making this a partisan effort.
Overwhelmingly, public comment was against the map.
I have heard a more unified Utah than I have heard in any public hearing in a very long time.
Lawmakers made one small change, moving San Juan County into the 3rd congressional district, but some were upset that Salt Lake County is split in 4 parts. Salt Lake City is split in 2 right down Main Street. The map is markedly different than the 3 submitted by the Independent Redistricting Commission. The commission was formed after voters approved Proposition 4.
It is not a binding commission. It is not binding on the legislature.
I will vote against this map just because I don't think it serves well.
But the legislature's committee voted along party lines to accept the map.
This gives us some pretty straight lines. We're doing a good balance of urban-rural mix, which we had talked about, and our deviations are down to 0.
In the Republican supermajority in the legislature, it appears to be a foregone conclusion this map may pass. But one lawmaker plans to try to change that.
So I'm using the power that I have as an elected official to stand with the people of Utah. So I have a bill right now that includes the independent map. And I plan to move that forward on the floor tomorrow and really push the legislature and the Senate at large to vote for the map that were created by the Independent Commission.
Now, just moments ago, the group that sponsored Proposition 4, creating that Independent Redistricting Commission, reacted to what the legislature's committee just did.
We have severely partisan gerrymandered maps that are put in place as job protection programs for elected officials, and that's what we're moving forward to. And it is disappointing, incredibly disappointing.
Now, lawmakers will vote on these proposed maps when the special session starts on Tuesday morning. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Now in the House, West Valley City will lose a seat. Eagle Mountain will gain one because of population shifts under the map. Here's what the Senate map looks like with some shifts in rural Utah. The state school board map could see more changes after the Utah Education Association weighed in. Lawmakers on the committee indicated they were open to changes proposed by the teachers union.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got changes coming in the weather, and we saw the rain coming down on that graphic. Is it raining someplace in Utah right now?
The storm is approaching, and right now it's impacting California quite a bit. It's going to keep on moving over, and we're going to end up with some of that atmospheric river even tapping in here into Utah. Now, it's going to be pretty unorganized by the time that it gets here. 41 degrees currently here in Salt Lake City, and here are your top weather headlines. I'm sure that you noticed, unless you were working indoors and had no windows, that our sun set about 5 o'clock tonight. It'll rise at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning just about. We've got a stronger storm for tomorrow. It's going to be a somewhat unorganized but very moist storm, and it's going to be a fairly warm storm, but it's going to be enough to cause some slick roads at times up in the mountains for our higher elevation routes. So we will expect slick roads tomorrow, but here's that system right now as it moves into California. So it is off to our west. I think the morning drive, most of you will have a dry drive tomorrow morning, of course, depending on what time you head out the door. But if you are an early commuter, drop the kids off early at school, if they're walking to school before 8 a.m., you are most likely in the clear. Now, it'll be cloudy, but right now we do have partly cloudy sky, a little bit of clearing on the Cottonwood Canyons right now up towards Parley's, but temperature-wise, 37 right now for Price and Provo, 40 for Ogden, 36 for what it feels like in the Logan area, and then down in St. George, close to 60 degrees currently. Now, we're going to end up with temperatures tomorrow morning close to 45 degrees, 6 a.m. to lunchtime tomorrow. So not much of a difference throughout the day. And our best chance for that rain to arrive will be after 8 o'clock in the morning for here in Salt Lake City. And our overnight temperatures will be warm enough, and our daytime highs tomorrow will be warm enough that this will be valley rain and mountain snowfall. Now, by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, we start seeing that rain creeping in. It'll be about 40 to 45 for Ogden, Salt Lake, and Provo. By tomorrow afternoon, I want you to grab the umbrella when you head out the door tomorrow morning. Grab some waterproof boots if you're going to be spending time outside. I wouldn't grab the nicest pair of shoes that you have. And we're going to have those temperatures tomorrow afternoon close to 45 to 50. So here's what this will look like. Take a look at your screen right now. We see the clouds increasing overnight. By 7:30 tomorrow morning, we start to see some of this rain moving in from about I-70 north and west. So by about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning is when we start seeing our I-15 corridor from central Utah, especially Utah County north, into the afternoon hours. We'll have some periods of heavy rainfall. Some thunderstorms will certainly be possible. We'll have some lingering rain through Tuesday night into Wednesday. And even maybe Thursday morning, we could still see a few more showers up along the mountains of Utah. But we are mostly looking at snow levels above 7,500 feet. Could drop as low as 6,500 feet at times, especially by Wednesday morning. And then we could see some ponding on the valley roads. So once this system passes into this upcoming weekend, high pressure starts to build. We start seeing some ridging here across the region. So for St. George, this means you're close to 70 degrees through Friday, mid-70s for the weekend. Nice weather for Veterans Day on Thursday with a high of 71 and sunshine. Salt Lake, we do have the chance for a few showers on Veterans Day, so we're going to keep our eye on that for you. And then we'll have our temperatures close to 60 this weekend. We'll talk more about how much precipitation you can expect here the next few days coming up in the next full forecast.
Allison, thank you. Still ahead, construction on a new hospital in Utah County is now underway. The impact it'll have on the community when we come back.
Plus, COVID-19 vaccine clinics dedicated to administering shots to children between the ages of 5 and 11 opened in Utah today. We'll show you the ramped up effort to keep children safe from the virus.
Today, leaders of the Voices for Utah Children and advocates of other organizations gathered at the state capitol to oppose tax cuts. The suggested tax cut would take the state income tax rate from more than 4.9% to 4.5%, a break of $600 million. But the Invest in Utah's Future Coalition presented a list of urgent unmet needs that amount to $5.2 billion.
If they do feel that they need to give in to the tax cut temptation, why not do an earned income tax credit? Why not take the sales tax off of food? Those are tax breaks that would reduce the regressivity in our tax code, but an income tax cut mainly benefits upper income Utahns who've been doing just fine and don't need a tax cut, don't want a tax cut.
The advocates also point out that recent reports show taxes in Utah are the lowest they have been in decades.
Intermountain Healthcare broke ground today on a new Saratoga Springs campus. As populations boom in Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, and Lehigh, there is tremendous need right now for better access to emergency services. Intermountain Healthcare says that's why this new campus is so important. It includes a freestanding emergency department, also a surgery center.
We're really excited to be a part of this community. It's a community we've served for a long time, and we will continue to serve going forward. And it's going to be wonderful to have these beautiful new facilities to do that with. It's a tool for us to be able to provide better care for this community. And I think most importantly, better access for the community to us.
Well, construction will start next year with expected completion at the end of 2022.
COVID vaccinations are now taking place inside some elementary schools in Utah. We'll take you to one of the first and where they'll pop up next.
Some Utah homeowners say UDOT construction is damaging their historic homes.
What's going on? You're shaking my house apart.
But it's the response to their concerns they say is especially maddening.
The Utes and Aggies battling for conference championships. We'll hear from both teams coming up.
When a kiddo gets a wish, they find more resilience and hope and happiness in their lives.
And how Ballet West is making a young girl's dancing dreams come true after a heroic fight. It's a story that's positively Utah.
We've been really focused on ensuring that we're removing any space and time and barriers.
There was a strong turnout for young children getting COVID-19 vaccines today.
In fact, this week, several school districts will be holding clinics there at the schools to make it as easy as possible.
Fox 13's Haley Higgins reports from West Valley City.
I felt a little nervous then, but when I looked away, it was really fast.
Dozens of pediatric doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 administered per hour at Hillsdale Elementary on Monday.
It was important, so we could have a better world, a safe world.
Naturally, there were some tears. For children needing a little more courage and comfort, a unified police officer offered a hand and some candy.
We're seeing a steady flow of parents bringing in their children to our clinics.
Since Wednesday, the Salt Lake County Health Department vaccinated more than 2,500 young children. This week, they're ramping up efforts to vaccinate as many children as possible before the holidays by going to where the children are.
We're going to run these clinics through Thanksgiving time, and then as we kind of look at the data and see the popularity, potential locations where they're doing better than other places, we'll analyze that and then potentially provide additional clinics as appropriate.
In Davis County, vaccines for children ages 5 to 11-year-olds are now being administered at the Mass Drive-In Clinic at the Legacy Center. Major hospitals are also giving the vaccine to young children.
The COVID vaccine has been proving safe and effective at protecting 5 to 11-year-olds.
Sixth grader Alexia Acosta has advice for other children who might be a little nervous to get the vaccine.
If I did it, everybody can do it.
It is important to note that if a child is getting vaccinated, a parent must be with them at the time of the injection. Reporting in West Valley City, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Salt Lake police are now reviewing evidence and witness statements after a woman was struck and killed by a car this morning. It happened at about 6:30 at 750 West and North Temple. It's unclear whether the woman was in a crosswalk. Police say the driver is cooperating. They remind everyone to be careful while driving, walking, or biking, especially now that daylight saving time just ended.
It's getting darker earlier in the evening, so those that are utilizing the roadways, please just make sure your equipment's working, be more attentive, especially in those commuting hours.
If you have information on this fatal accident, call Salt Lake Police.
The Utah Office for Victims of Crime has launched a new program, all to help people find resources to help them get back up on their feet. The Concern Center website is a directory with over 200 resources to help crime victims in Utah get information on a situation they may be dealing with. Many crime victims may not know where to go for help, but they know they have a concern. For example, someone might not know they're dealing with domestic violence. They do just know their partner is controlling.
They can really just type in their concern. They don't have to type in a specific service or a specific program. And then it will come up with a lot of different categories that they can click on and then be connected to programs within their search area that help with those specific issues.
This could be very helpful. A few things it does help with include escaping domestic violence, also rent assistance, anger management, paying bills, and any other things victims of crime may come across. You can find a link to this new website off of ours, fox13now.com. Salt Lake City homeowners say a UDOT construction project is damaging their historic homes, and they are not happy with the response they're now getting when they tried to complain.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher shows us what the homeowners are experiencing and UDOT's explanation.
After 4 decades living in a home, you know it inside and out.
Oh, yeah.
In this 121-year-old home, Lee Velasquez knows there's wear and tear, but some of it,
All of a sudden I looked up and there's cracks
he says, showed up very recently, like his front porch,
right along here,
which you can see slopes down to the left.
at least 3 to 4 inches.
And inside, cracks have formed on the ceiling and wall.
8 inches, I guess.
Lee has a hunch what happened.
I thought it was an earthquake at first. And then, you hear the tractors.
It was pretty powerful. It would shake the entire house. The whole house would shake.
Across the street, Aaron Johnson says cracks mysteriously appeared on his inside and outside walls around the time UDOT began construction on the I-15 North 600 North off-ramp, which borders Aaron and Lee's properties.
I had pieces of cabinets that I'd been working on that fell off.
His home dates back to the 1880s.
When I called UDOT and I said, hey, what can you do to stop this, to mitigate this, what's going on? You're shaking my house apart.
Aaron, Lee, and a third neighbor tell me they all filed claims and were told UDOT's contractor would investigate. The response Aaron got.
One of the things they said immediately was, well, how can you prove this is us? They were telling all of us, well, in order for ACME to accept your claim, you need to submit before and after pictures. Well, how would we know to prepare for a seismic event? A continued seismic event that lasts for a month.
This is something that we take very seriously. We want to get to the bottom of it.
UDOT says they follow a process to handle claims and that the contractor is still investigating.
If it's determined that any damage was caused by construction activities, that's absolutely something that we'll step up and take care of.
As Aaron, Lee, and a third neighbor wait on that process.
Yeah, I'm watching them get worse.
They say the cracks are spreading, and they hope for some sort of resolution soon. In Salt Lake City, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, as the Kyle Rittenhouse trial continues, see testimony from a man who Rittenhouse almost killed.
And more fallout, also new questions tonight following the deaths of 8 people at the Astro World Music Festival in Texas over the weekend.
And right now I'm tracking our next storm slated to arrive here in a couple of hours, the timing of tomorrow's storm and the impacts on the road.
In national news, a House Select Committee investigating the deadly January 6th attack on the Capitol is now issuing subpoenas to some of former President Trump's campaign associates.
The 6 subpoenas are going to Trump 2020 campaign manager William Stepien, former senior campaign advisor Jason Miller, national executive assistant to Trump's re-election campaign Angela McCollum, Attorney John Eastman, and Michael Flynn and Bernard Carrick, who were involved in meetings centered around overturning election results. All 6 individuals are being asked to supply the committee with documents on November 23rd.
Right now, investigators in Houston, Texas will focus on the design of safety barriers as well as crowd control at the Astro World Music Festival. 8 concert goers died after being crushed by the crowd at the Travis Scott concert headlining the festival over the weekend. Hundreds more were injured.
first song, everybody started compressing in together. You couldn't move your elbows. You were just so compressed to a point where it literally stops your breathing. People started panicking. You look to the back, people are yelling, help, help, help.
Houston city officials say they are only now in the early stages of their investigation. They plan to look at videos from the concert, also witness interviews and concert procedures to figure out what led to the tragedy. Houston's police and fire departments will take part in the investigation.
A paramedic who was shot in the arm by Kyle Rittenhouse took the stand in Kenosha, Wisconsin today. Gage Grosskreutz says he pulled his own gun out because he believed Rittenhouse was an active shooter. Rittenhouse is facing 7 charges, including first-degree murder. He fatally shot 2 men and injured Grosskreutz during the unrest over the shooting of Jacob Blake last year. Grosskreutz says he drew his weapon to be ready in case he needed to use it.
More people were then pointing out the defendant, saying that he had just shot somebody, that he's trying to get away, get him, things of that nature. And then so again, further inferencing from the things I heard and experienced, witnessed earlier in the night, I thought that the defendant was an active shooter.
The defense team says Rittenhouse only fired in self-defense. They say the 3 people who were shot were part of an attacking mob.
A cybersecurity research firm says foreign hackers have breached 9 organizations in the defense, energy, healthcare, technology, and education sectors. At least one of the organizations is in the U.S. Palo Alto Networks says the hackers stole passwords to gain long-term access to these organizations' networks. Now, it's unclear who's responsible for the breach, but some of the attackers' tactics overlap with those used by a suspected Chinese hacking group. Officials from the National Security Agency and the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency are tracking the threat.
We're so thankful to Make-A-Wish for making kids' dreams come true.
Still ahead, a Utah girl's ballet dreams come true, all thanks to a few helping hands. The Positively Utah story when we return.
Coming up in sports, we'll hear from Blake Anderson as the Aggies get ready for a big matchup against San Jose State. And the Utes play at Arizona this week after a dominating performance at Stanford. We'll hear from the Utes on their powerful rushing attack.
Will anyone catch it?
Hey everyone, welcome back, and so glad you can join us for Fox 13 News at 9. I'm so happy to be back tonight.
I was going to say, you've been away for a little while. And we're so happy to have you back.
Thank you.
Because it just wasn't the same.
Oh, well, thank you. Got some good co-workers always ready to step in, but so glad to be here. We've got a storm on the way. So Fox 13 meteorologist Allison Krogan will be back once again with your full forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Tonight, we continue to cover a proposed digital billboard debate in Mill Creek.
The city council met to discuss potentially changing city code to allow for digital billboards at the new city center. The proposal originally called for 3 digital billboards, but in the last week, it was changed to only 1 digital billboard sign after community concerns. This change was also made after the Planning Commission unanimously recommended the city not change the code to allow for digital billboards.
It's great to go down from 3 to 1, but honestly, I feel like if you just give 1 inch on this issue, that Reagan Outdoor Advertising is going to take advantage of it.
Well, Kathy there says if the city goes against the Planning Commission's recommendation, the community's fight isn't over. Some community members may choose to fight the issue with a referendum.
If you're looking to upgrade your old wood stove or fireplace, now is the time. Utah's wood stove conversion program kicked off today in Davis County. The program aims to help residents convert to cleaner burning fuels and cut back on pollutants produced by wintertime wood burning. Salt Lake, Utah, and Cache counties and the residents there will have an opportunity to sign up in the coming months. To see if you're eligible for the program, go to fox13now.com.
Now for a story that is positively Utah. The Ballet West performance of the Nutcracker will soon have a new amazing performer, the newest ballerina. It's 6-year-old Evelyn Sweat, and it's all thanks to Make-A-Wish Utah. Evelyn, who's been dancing since she was just 2 years old, was diagnosed with cancer last Christmas. She's been battling the disease ever since. And now that she's doing better, the Make-A-Wish program is teaming up with Ballet West to make her young dreams come true. Today, she began rehearsals for her performance as Clara in the Nutcracker.
It's amazing, and we're so proud of her, and yeah, emotional, really emotional.
We watched the performance last year on TV while she was in the hospital, and that's where it kind of came from. She said she wanted to be Clara one day.
Dream come true. Evelyn's parent says she's been in remission for almost 3 months now. She will perform with the ballet on December 9th, almost 1 year after her diagnosis.
She will never forget that, I'm sure.
Beautiful little ballerina.
We have some big changes coming in the weather, don't we, Allison?
Yes, tomorrow morning, don't leave the house without the umbrella. I would recommend if you've got some shoes that you like to wear on rainy days, depending where you are, potentially snowy days, you'll want to make sure those are set out for tomorrow morning, just to make the morning a little bit easier. So our storm is approaching from the west right now. I added some of our wind in the upper levels to show you it's a westerly flow. So we're going to tap into a little bit of this atmospheric river that's bringing quite a bit of rain to California right now. Our current temps about 40 for Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden, mid-30s currently for Logan, St. George close to 60 degrees. And this evening, we've had a few clouds earlier today. We had quite a bit of clearing actually here in the last few hours, and that's allowed our temperatures to really cool pretty quickly this afternoon. But by tomorrow morning, we're going to keep things close to 40 degrees when you first wake up. We'll have additional cloud cover tonight, so we may end up actually warming a few more degrees depending on where you are. And then our best chance for rain will be about 9-10 a.m. depending again where you are here along the Wasatch Front, or if you're in southeastern Utah, you likely stay a little bit drier. But here in Salt Lake City tomorrow morning, close to 45 degrees. And again, you'll want to keep that umbrella handy as you head out the door tomorrow morning. Our overnight temps will be at 7 a.m. about 40 degrees for Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden, so very similar to right now. Temperatures in St. George tomorrow morning, mid-30s. In Logan tomorrow, mid-30s, St. George, close to about 50 degrees tomorrow morning. And by tomorrow at 4 p.m., we'll be about 45 to 50 for Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden. And you'll notice that that's when we're going to start seeing some rain increasing tomorrow. So by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, not going to rule out that chance of rain, but it becomes more likely late morning into the afternoon hours, especially by noon tomorrow. So you'll notice right here, valley rain, mountain snowfall. Snow levels will start about 7,500 feet, and then by Wednesday morning could drop even lower down to about 6,500 feet and maybe to some of the benches by Wednesday morning. But by Tuesday night, tomorrow evening, we could end up with a few thunderstorms developing, so we're going to keep our eye on this for you tomorrow here in the Fox 13 Weather Center. Parley's Canyon through Tuesday evening looks like it'll be a mixture of some rain and snow through 11:30 tomorrow night, and then that's when we have our best chance for that to turn over into Thursday morning. A few lingering showers will be possible for the highest terrain, so we could end up with a little bit of slick road at times up in the mountains even through Thursday morning. But the bulk of the storm moves through tomorrow. We start becoming more scattered by tomorrow afternoon and evening, and then a few lingering showers will be possible through Thursday morning, and then again a few more brush by systems this weekend, where the majority of this stays off to our north come Saturday. High pressure will mostly be our main story. Ridging will return, but before then, for the northern Utah mountains through Wednesday, we're looking at about 4 to 10 inches of snow for the highest terrain, mostly 4 to 8 inches of snow for the mountains of northern Utah. So we will want to keep our eye on the possibility of even some snow developing potentially down to the valley floors, but it's not very likely. We have a colder storm next week where that becomes more likely. Now for St. George, you're close to 70 degrees through the end of the week, mid-70s this weekend, but a nice Veterans Day for St. George, and for the Wasatch Front, close to 50 degrees through Thursday, and then close to 60 this upcoming weekend.
The Utah and Utah State football teams are hoping to have a November to remember as they both go after conference championships with 3 games to play. The Utes on top of the Pac-12 South, the Aggies leading the Mountain Division in the Mountain West Conference. Utah coming off an impressive 52-7 win over Stanford. The Utes dominated the first half, outscoring the Cardinal 38-0. The Utes rushed for 441 yards, 6 touchdowns, with 3 running backs rushing for over 100 yards, led by Tavion Thomas, who ran for 177 and 4 touchdowns. The Utes continue to lead the Pac-12 South to 5-1, heading into this week's game at 1-loss Arizona. And you can expect them to keep it rolling on the ground. Utah's offense didn't get off to a great start this season, but they found their identity, and that's running the football.
We strive to be the best rush offense, so we struggled with that early in the year, but I think that's the identity right now. We're going to keep rushing the ball. It feels pretty good to know that each one of us can go out there any given week and just show out.
Coming after the game and seeing the stat sheet, I was just happy because I know how hard we work. We're playing at a high level. The confidence is there in every position. Cam is leading the way, and we know we got room to improve, and that's our focus right now.
I love seeing them go. It's nice when you hand the ball to those guys and just seeing them run. Shout out to the O Block and TNT and also the wideouts for blocking because they made it fun to watch.
Utah State had to overcome a slow start against a 1-win New Mexico State team on Saturday. The Aggies rallied in the second half, though, to pull out a 35-13 win. They returned to Mountain West Conference play this Saturday at San Jose State, who's just 5-5, but the Aggies know it'll be a challenge to get the win and stay on top of the Mountain Division.
San Jose is a very good football team. We catch them, I think, at their very best. Having gotten their quarterback back on the field, it changes the dynamic of things. It'll be a huge game and a tremendous challenge, and I think our guys are super excited already about getting prepared for it and just the opportunity that we have ahead of us, obviously. So this is a pivotal game for everybody.
Real Salt Lake will play Seattle in round 1 of the MLS Cup playoffs on November 23rd in Seattle in a single-game elimination match, with the winner advancing to the Western Conference semifinals. RSL just barely got into the playoffs on this stoppage-time goal from Damir Kreilach to give RSL a 1-0 win against Sporting Kansas City. Kreilach named the MLS Player of the Week after scoring that dramatic goal.
That was a good grass slide.
They
there.
love to slide on the grass, don't they?
Very good at it.
Wow.
All you got to do is get in the playoffs and you got a chance.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you got in.
See what happens.
As long as you're there.
Yep. You can slide on the grass all you want.
Slide all the way to the MLS Cup.
Let's do it, RSL. It's a game plan.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Finally tonight, a young pizza maker in the Netherlands has combined 2 of his passions and talents, pizza and skateboarding.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, he's made skateboards out of his pizza. He dabs the pizza so it doesn't go moldy, lets it dry for a week before sealing it with chemicals. There, he's doing it there. Then he lets that process dry for about 10 days to harden. The man behind this creation also makes other things from pizza, such as stools, tables, pictures of real pizza to hang up.
He likes his pizza.
Yeah.
That would be hard to ride, that wedge sliced board.
He's a delivery man, maybe.
Yeah, that's how you deliver it.
Quick Cast is next.